Hey gang, this is Mark Van of the Brainwagon blog. About a year ago, maybe even more than that, a friend of mine tried to get me involved in building quadcopters. And I ordered a ton of parts and I never really got very far at getting them all assembled. And this has been sort of my off-again, on-again project. So I thought I would try to show you what progress I'm being made. It's really, really slow progress, but this is sort of what's going on. Today I reached a tiny bit of a milestone, so I thought I'd show you off what's going on. So some of the parts I've got are this Turniger 9XR radio control transmitter. And if you stare at the back of this, it's got a orange RX DSM transmitter, 2.4 gigahertz. So that's kind of amusing. And here's sort of the beginnings of the electronics for the quadcopter. There's a battery up here, center now, and 4 ESCs, and they're wired to a distribution board that I got from Ready to Fly Quads, as I did the ESCs. And so each of the ESCs also has what they call a BEC, a battery eliminator circuit, I guess. And so that is powering this little guy, which is a very, very tiny Lemon RX, which is compatible with the Orange RX, but not made by them, transmitter. And just to test it out, I have it wired to one of these parallax servos that I've had lying around to test it. And what's amazing is, as I adjust the throttle on, let's see if I can get all this in one shot. I adjust the throttle, it responds by changing the servo position. So when the quad is actually in place, these signals from the receiver will actually get patched into a flight controller board, and then the flight controller board will send commands to each of these ESCs, each one of the 4 motor controllers, and that will actually auto level the quadcopter. Okay, and this is eventually what will become the frame for the quadcopter. It's a CNC cut out of a piece of some kind of high impact plastic. It's pretty sturdy, and we'll have some of these red motors on each end. And I actually have a choice of controller boards. I had purchased this. This is a CC3D board, and this has a 32-bit STM processor on, I think and it should be a lot more capable. People like these for, particularly for acrobatic flying, which I'm not particularly interested in. And I've had a little trouble getting this configured and sort of playing around with that. I'm not all that happy with it. This is a Flip 2.5 board, which is basically a multi-Wii compatible board. These are inexpensive. They're easy to reflash. I use Platform IO to recode recompile the source code for this, and so this is the one I think I'm going to go with to start anyway. Down here at the bottom, there are all these pins that go to the different motor controls, that drive the ESC motor controls, and then all the signals from the receiver get routed onto this nice little header, which they nicely gave me a thing for. So this will probably get mounted fairly near the center. I'll have too much space between go to the receiver. We'll probably mount a receiver somewhere out here or somewhere, and this will be the quadcopter when it's done. I still haven't got props, and it turns out I need a little bit of hardware to get a little bit of additional screws and bolts and things to get everything wired together. But I'm going to try to mount all the motors this weekend, get everything sort of dry fit. The ESCs will go onto each arm. I'm not sure whether I'm going to put them on the top or on the bottom. I need to figure out how I'm going to get the battery suspended underneath. They nicely include these 1/4 by 20 holes on each arm where you can figure out how to basically put a little foot so that this thing won't immediately bonk its battery when it lands. Haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do with that yet. So there's a lot of questions still, but I'm making slow and steady progress. Anyway, I just thought I'd give an update. This has been Mark Van of the Brainwagon blog.